Good evening and welcome to the midweek devotional for the East Allen County Church of Christ. We're glad to have you with us tonight, and tonight we're going to talk about what it means that Jesus died in our stead. It's a very difficult thing for us to fathom that we would have a debt we could never pay. Never, ever pay. Not with one lifetime, not with many lifetimes, we just couldn't pay it. It is said of sin that if we could muster all the good works of every human being that has ever lived from Adam and Eve to today, and we'd have put them all together, we couldn't do enough good to save even one of us who have sinned and fallen away from the grace and glory of God. And that explains the depth and the travesty of what sin is. Death is actually the penalty of sin. It's a thing that holds us in bondage. The interesting thing about the bondage of sin, along with its penalty, which is death, is that we choose it. Do you realize that you get to choose where you go in this afterlife, in eternity? You get to choose who it is you obey today and obey now. And we can choose to follow God, which I personally would highly recommend, or you could follow Satan. Those are the only two entities you can follow. There are no others. There are those who think, well, I'm just going to go my way. I'm going to do my thing. Well, no, you're not. You're actually going to do Satan's thing. If you're not going to do God's thing, everything else is away from God. And that's one thing we need to remember. Whether we think about it much from day to day, all of this life that we live is clouded by the prospect of death. We are mortal people, and we have a finite amount of time to be here in this world. And so death is something that stays there. The book of Hebrews, chapter 2 and verses 14 and 15, through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. One of the amazing things about Christ is that to defeat death for us, which is what he does and has done, he had to die. And he came here knowingly, willingly, to do that very thing. One thing, Jesus came into the world to deal with the problem of sin and death. Sometimes we wonder what it is. Churches get lost in a sense of definition. We get lost in trying to understand what it is we're supposed to be, what it is we're supposed to be doing. Is it benevolence work? Is it loving people? Is it living quietly as a follower of Christ? What is it? Jesus Christ came into this world to deal with the problem of sin and the problem of death. We need to understand that. We need to allow ourselves the understanding of knowing that that is the mission of the church. When I follow Christ, I have elected to follow him and his priorities for this world. But Jesus didn't come here to simply avert our punishment. He came here to give us life. And today, right now, to bring us life. And another phrase that you could attach to life is to give us hope. There's really not a greater motivator than love, but we won't get anywhere in life without hope. Love is about hope, but that's another lesson for another time. But the truth is that Jesus Christ came to bring us hope. Paul pointed out that the love of Christ controls us because we have concluded this, that one has died for all. Therefore all have died, and he died for all, that those who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who for their sake died and was raised. 2 Corinthians 5, verses 14 and 15. Paul pointed out that, again, Jesus came to bring us life and to make the sacrifice that we could not, so that we could live. So what's the proper response to this? The proper response to Christ dying for us is a recognition and respect and followership of who he is. And in some cultures in the past, stories have been told of those who have given their life for someone else, and a person would take that person's place in the family. In other words, if my neighbor's son and I were friends and somehow he wound up giving his life for me, and they would lose their son, I would then become their son. I would be part of that family. And that's a simple ethical position to hold. I don't know that it's necessary from a moral standpoint, but it is a wonderful ethic to have in life. to understand that when somebody gives their life for me, I owe them my life. I owe them a lot of things, and so I need to be aware of how I live my life and make decisions about my future based on that. One quick passage tonight that we'll take a look at. 2 Corinthians 5 verses 14 and 15. For the love of Christ controls us, having concluded this, that one died for all, therefore all died. I want to go over this passage again. And he died for all, so that they who live might no longer live for themselves, but for him who died and rose again on their behalf. The wonderful thing about the death of Jesus is that he doesn't just make the sacrifice for us. He conveys his power over life and death. He took up his life. He laid his life voluntarily, willingly down for us, and he picks it up for us. And he'll pick us up. That's the other side of it, is that he can not only raise himself, but he can raise other people. He can raise you and I. And on the last day, when we're called forth, it will be him who raises us up and who takes us home. I hope that your life is in a position and in a condition that were Christ to come right now, and he may come before you see this video, I'm not sure. But if he were to come right now, then you would go home to be with him. And I hope and pray that's where you're at. I hope that you're in relationship with him. I pray that your bond is strong, that your faith is strong, and that your life is living a living example of what Jesus wants it to be in this world. Could be that it's not. And I hope and pray that if you need to make adjustments, if you need to repent of things that are separating you from God, that you will do so. If there's anything here at the East Allen County Church that we can do to help you, we absolutely want to help you get closer to Jesus, to get closer to the kingdom, to be more of a citizen of the kingdom than maybe you have been in the past, if you've been struggling with that. We all struggle with it from time to time. Sometimes, though, we get stuck. We get in a place where we feel like we can't move forward spiritually, and we're here to help you. We love you, and I hope and pray that as you think about the thoughts we've put forward today, that you'll dwell on them, you'll meditate on them, and you'll look at the other passages that have to do with our studies this week. And we'll be studying this Sunday night, and you'll see this tomorrow. I'm taping this on Tuesday, so you'll see this on Wednesday. And I hope that you'll think about the idea that Jesus Christ died for me, and what my response, what your response should be in that regard. Well, God bless you in your walk, and we're here. We love you. If there's anything we can do, we look forward to your phone call. You have a blessed week.